Welcome to Confidence Lab. I don't know if you've been in my world for a minute or not, but I am in the exciting, exciting journey of perimenopause at 42. My mom she experienced her menopause when she was 47, so it makes sense because perimenopause is really 7 to 10 average years leading up to your full year of no period. And I'm saying this because I know we're all among women, and I work as an executive coach for smart women who hate office politics. And now that I'm really in the throes of it, it just astounds me. It astounds me how women continue to work. Women continue to be a mother. Women continue to function. Women continue to contribute to society, even as they're going through, sometimes mild symptoms and sometimes the horrors of perimenopause. And I just want to be the living, breathing person to be like, listen, it doesn't mean just because, your hair starts to fall out a bit and you can't sleep and you feel achy and sore for no apparent reason. And, all the other symptoms, hot flashes, sometimes that happens, sometimes palpitations, like, even if you have all of that, like, you can still be confident in yourself. You can still be confident in your decisions. You can still be confident in your authority as the person who makes the decisions, who runs her own life and her career. I swear, this is not a webinar about perimenopause, but but I had to share that. So I would welcome everyone. Great to see you, Cassie. Great to see you, Kristine, Elizabeth, Gabriella, Hannah, Kristine, Maria, Ruxana, Sasha, Tiffany, everyone else who's struggling, joining in. My intention for this interactive webinar workshop is to teach you useful, simple, evidence-based techniques to leverage the plasticity of your brain. Your brain, your beautiful human brain. Well, actually, there's so much more than just the brain, because the brain is connected to your nervous system. And scientists have found that there are thousands and thousands of neurons in your heart space, thousands and thousands of neurons in your gut, right? So there's the brain in the gut, brain in the heart, brain in the head. And of course, our nerves, right? Are all the nerves that run throughout our body is part of the nervous system. Brain is also part of the nervous system. And there are very simple, effective techniques that I've been teaching my clients since last year. And it has been proven in my experience and in my client's experience. And in fact, one of my clients, she actually sent me her heart graph chart. And she's like, look, I'm seeing a drastic drop in my heart rate as we were doing the technique. So there's evidence that shows we can have even more agency, we can have even more control over how we feel and over how we respond, how we act, how we speak up, right? And I think that's really important to consider, recognize, and take in, because so many messages in our society, so many people, so many, so much marketing, mass media marketing, and so much of what people just casually say is like, oh, so-and-so made me feel this way. If you want to feel better, buy this product. Like, we've been taught this message that things outside of us, things outside our own nervous system is what creates our confidence. So before I go any further, I would love to hear from you who's here attending this in real time. Tiffany, welcome. Riva, welcome. Mahawa, welcome. Hannah, welcome. I would love to hear from you directly, and you can, type into the chat box if you're joining from your desktop computer. I'd love to hear from you directly. Where do you think your confidence comes from. And hi, Patricia. I would love to get some feedback before I, prescribe my definition of confidence. I'd love to hear from you. Ma Hawa says applause for a job well done. Patricia says sometimes it's spiritual. These are good ones. Anyone else? Elizabeth says knowing that I have the knowledge and skills. Of course. Mahawa says completing a task I did not think I could do. Riva, learning a new skill. Kristine, my learned experiences and having taken small risks. Beautiful. These are all great examples, really good ones. And oh, there's more. Accomplishing something and knowing I've done it well. Yeah. Kristine says belief in my abilities and skills based on experiences through practice and learning. Yeah. Roxana says reflection of self-belief. Excellent. These are all really, really great. If anyone else has other examples, other definitions of confidence, please feel free to pop it right into the chat box. Cassie says, I know my confidence is within. However, I personally struggle with putting too much power on external validation. Thank you for sharing that. I feel like that is my human experience as well. Yeah, and it's especially because somebody added it's applause for a job well done, and I like to argue, I think particularly as women, we've been conditioned to look outside ourselves. I mean, just think about even how like very small things we do. Like we put on an outfit, we try makeup, and we're like, "Hey, do you like it? What do you think of this?" Right? And we're often eager to get other people's feedback before we make a life decision, before we make a decision about whether we have an opinion. Yeah. I know I've experienced that myself. Like, I don't know if I really like that movie, but before I say anything, I wanna ask my friends. I'm like, "Hey, what did you think? Did you like that movie? What'd you think of that scene?" And then they say, "Oh yeah, I thought that was great." I'm like, "Yeah, I thought it was great too." But there was that little element in the scene didn't quite sit well with me. But then you know what I mean? Like sometimes because of how we've been socialized to conform to either an implicit or explicit gender norms. I'm speaking from, of course, Western perspective here. I live in America, I live in New York City, but it's very common for people who are socialized or even identifying as women to feel the urge to, first of all, diminish our own opinion or seek other people's validation before we feel like it's okay for me to feel good. It's okay for me to like acknowledge, yeah, I look great. Gabriella says, I get to the point where I don't care what others think or how I'm perceived. That makes me more apt to exude confidence. I love it, Gabriella. I love that for you. Here's a really interesting thing I observed. I have some friends who are genderqueer, and they're male to female trans femme people. And at one point I was hanging out with them and we're just like eating a meal or whatever. And this one friend, she kept apologizing. She kept apologizing for like basically for taking up space. Because if I was like trying to reach for something and she's sitting right there, she's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And because these are genderqueer, they're gender fluid people, they have the experience of embodying both genders, male and female. They haven't fully transitioned to the female. So I just paused and I asked them, "Hey, just out of curiosity, do you apologize when you're in boy mode?" And they're like, "No, never." Okay, that's just a sidebar. I think it does make sense that we often seek external validation. We often wait for external validation, or we think that external validation, applause, is what leads to confidence. But let's notice that, when we feel like that's the only way to be confident, or I need external validation before I can feel good about my decisions, my choices, my actions, then it's like we can never win. We can never be confident because other people are never in our control. And how do we even know that we can trust what other people say and do, right? Because sometimes people are thinking one thing and they do another, right? So that's why I think the tools of self-directed neuroplasticity is so powerful, because it reminds us, it gives us a lived and embodied experience of we can own and we can create our own confidence. I love the other definitions people have shared here. Sometimes it's spiritual, it's self-knowledge, self-belief, it's learning a new skill, accomplishing something, belief in my abilities and skills through practice and learning, and knowing that your confidence is within. So here's something that I share with all of my clients, which is that there is a distinction to be made between competence and confidence or self-confidence, right? When you know that you can do something, when you know that you're capable of doing something, right? That's competence, right? I know that I can peel myself an apple because I've done it 1,000 times in my life, right? I can chop up an apple because I've done it so many times. I don't even have to think about it. My hand just grabs the apple, rinses it, starts chopping it, right? But here's the thing about competence. Competence is tied to everything that you have done or completed in the past, right? And you know that you've done it so many times, that skill has gone to an unconscious level. You don't have to consciously think, oh, first step is this, second step is that, right? But when you want to go do new things, if you want to learn new skills, if you're, stepping up for a promotion, or if you want to pivot in your career, or if you want to change your career, if you want to change your life, right? You have to make new decisions. You have to learn new things. And I love that somebody said their confidence comes from learning new things. Because let's break that down, right? Competence only takes you far. Competence takes you, if that's your source of confidence, then you just keep repeating what you have done. You stay in your comfort zone, right? There's nothing wrong with it, but if you want a different kind of expansion in your life or in your career, then we have to think about the other type of confidence, self-confidence. And I think self-confidence is a number of things. Let me put it this way. I think the three elements definitely do help contribute to you being solid and you being able to grow your self-confidence. Number one, I think, is community. And notice it, I'm not saying external validation, I'm not saying other people, I'm saying, like, do you have a community that of people that you like, you trust, with whom you feel like you can be yourself and that you would be accepted as yourself? Whether you're genderqueer, whether you are, an immigrant, whether you're a person of color, whether you embody any of the invisible marginalization, or if you're just a person, you're just a fun person, but every person is so unique. When you know that you have a community, and that community can be your family, that community can be, just your chosen family, that community can be people you work with. People find communities everywhere and anywhere, right? Definitely does help. And doesn't necessarily mean that they're always validating you and approving of what you say, but you know that you can be who you are with them. And then number two is, as have been pointed out in the chat, it is your willingness to trust yourself to take action, willingness to take new, messy, and sometimes the smallest action, right? Kristine said, my learned experiences and having taken small risks, right? Your willingness to take those risks, right? And then the third thing is, like, what enables us? What can help us take those actions, even if they're less than perfect and they're small risk. And I think that is your capacity, your willingness to allow for the full spectrum of human emotion, being mad, sad, scared, happy, enraged. I started the conversation talking about, perimenopause and menopause, and like, yeah, you feel all the rage. It's not just a hot flash. And I think when you allow yourself to feel all of the emotions without making it mean there's something wrong with you or that something has gone wrong. No, sometimes, things that you don't want do happen, and it's okay for you to be pissed. But when you allow yourself, like, oh yeah, there's some information here. It's okay for me to experience this anger. And what is this information? What is the desire I have to either to correct the situation or to speak up for my values, right? I think that can lead to self-belief, self-trust, and the willingness to speak up, willingness to take action that can ultimately lead to even more confidence, because the more you take action, the more you have competence, and the more you have competence, it leads to more confidence. I hope that made sense. And another leadership expert also talked about confidence being a result of having conviction, courage, and that leads to confidence, right? Okay, cool. So what I'm going to share with you are techniques that you can dive right into. You can read more about them, you can study them, you can try them on your own. And some of the techniques are straight out of this book called Anti-Anxiety Toolkit: Rapid Techniques to Rewire the Brain, written by my mentor, Melissa Tiers. Okay, I'm going to pop in that Amazon link right here in case you want to check it out. So, in this book, Melissa Tiers, she says that she wrote the book intending it to be like I forget exactly what she called it, menopause brain. But her intention was that somebody who picks up the book can pick it up and try something and literally experience a shift within 10 minutes of having picked up the book. So they're fast, okay? So I would like to see if anyone here, well, you know what? Let me rephrase that. I would love volunteers. And here's what this means. I would love volunteers to raise their hand for coaching. And what I'm going to do is, if you raise your hand for coaching, I'm going to promote you to panelists. You may, or you can choose to keep your camera off. I just ask that you're not driving right now. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to walk you through the technique, because I feel like it's most effective when we anchor the technique in a very specific situation or a very specific trigger, if you will. So that's why if anyone has something they want to be 10% more confident about. All right, we got a volunteer. Okay. I'm going to promote you to panelist. Hello. Can I hear you?
Yes, hi. How are you?
How do I say your name?
Tamrat.
Tamrat. Okay. What's something you would like to be 10% more confident about?
impacting other, influencing other, creating leaders,
Creating.
impacting others.
Okay, I would like you to tell me what specific action, what small specific action would you need to take that lets you know that you're doing exactly that?
Giving training.
Giving training. Okay. What are you doing so that you can be giving training?
I have audio room, and I have audio room. I share my knowledge for others.
Okay. So, I mean, so far it sounds like you're doing what needs to be done.
I try my best.
Yeah.
I try my best.
Of course you do. Okay. What can be like 10% better?
If I have more time and make like more lesson the whole year, what I'm going to train and make it like in that way, it will become more effective.
If you have more time, is that what you mean? There was a bit of an audio blip, so I didn't hear exactly what you said.
Yes, more time toward this lesson planning, more of, at the end of the year, all the community that involves in the audio will be benefited or reach this level kind of milestone. If I put and measure everything, that will be more better. That could be more better.
Okay. The reason why I'm asking these questions is because we're trying to create a shift, right? And so when you think about, creating more time in your calendar, when you think about doing exactly that, there will be little steps along the way that leads to you having more time in your calendar, right?
Mhm.
Okay. Is there any step here that feels like it's inducing anxiety for you?
I believe like stress enhances my capacity. That's what I believe. Somehow, stress enhances my capacity to strengthen more or to expand, stretch more than make me diminish.
I'm so sorry. I don't know what you're saying. You said you feel stress or you have strength?
No, stress make me maintain myself, stretch more. You can, okay, let me show the caption for you.
No. Oh, okay. So, oh, you want to show me the caption? Okay.
Yes, that's better. Because my pronunciation is different than, like, my accent is different.
And okay. You
Can
sound
you see it
pretty
now?
confident to me, Tomrat.
Yes, pardon?
You sound really confident to me.
Of course, why not? I believe in myself. I know my capacity.
So I don't know if you're the best candidate for this exercise because you're already very confident. You're like, I need to lean on my strength. I know what needs to happen, right?
Yes, I
What am I
control
missing?
myself. Yes, like, when I grow up, the language is different that what you speak, but language, I believe it is communication. My accent is somehow different because I grew up in different country.
Okay.
Okay, I have to speak slowly so
No.
that it will be easy.
I gotcha. And my what I'm hearing, as far as best to my understanding, is you're already pretty confident.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Why do you need to be even more confident?
Because I know myself very well. I know my capacity. I know myself. I believe that I can create impact in another people's.
I love that. I love that for you. But I don't think you may be the best person for this exercise because maybe you missed the preamble. It's like I coach mostly women who we've been socialized to like, anyways, a lot of women feel anxious when we think about speaking up, taking charge, negotiating, influencing, right? And so my intention was to show people these techniques to reduce their anxiety, right? For doing
Okay.
something that will lead to more confidence. But in this brief conversation with you, Tamara, you're great. And I hear that you have very good confidence for what you want to achieve.
Yeah, but we can partner and we can work together. We can work together to impact the greater community.
I am not looking for a collaborator. This is not the right time for this, for that
Okay.
conversation. So I will put you back as a, but thank you for volunteering and
thank you very much. I really appreciate what you are doing also.
I appreciate that too. So let me just, I gotta figure out.
Leave, I can leave it. Leave this one.
I'm gonna change, okay. All right. Okay, so let's try this. I want everyone to think about a situation, whether that is a situation that is current or an anticipated situation in the near future. And what you want to do is you want to engage in a conversation. And when you think about having that conversation, there is some nervous system activation. And if people are not clear what I mean, I'm like, when you think about having a specific conversation that you want to have, you feel a bit of anxiety. Whether that is for any of the reasons we discussed or for any other reason. Yeah, Mahala says salary negotiations are always a good example. Yes, it is. And so is like setting boundaries with your neighbor. I have had clients practice, speaking up to their skip level manager and, talking to them about their experience of a company restructure. I've had clients who, felt a little anxious, like having a direct one-on-one feedback conversation with their hires, with their direct reports. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to trust that everyone who's here is along for the ride and you are paying attention and you have thought of one conversation, whether it is professional, whether it is personal, right? That when you think about having that conversation, a little bit of like comes up, okay? So now I want to ask everyone who's following along, right? Everyone who's following along, I want you to check in with yourself. And when you think about that particular situation, that particular conversation, how would you rate that level of anxiety or tension? On a range between 1 to 10, 1 being absolutely the lowest, 10 being all-time high. So now I would like some volunteers you could type it into the chat box. On a range between 1 to 10, what's your number? Mahawa, 7, 8. Cassie, 7. Excellent. Good. 5. Anyone else? 7, 8, 10. Okay, 8 out of 10. All right. Excellent. Well, thank you for sharing that. And now I'm going to show you something that has been proven by lots of research. It's also in the book, the link I shared. In order for us to do this exercise together, I'm going to ask everyone to grab either a pen, a phone, or in my case, I have this little tube of hand cream. Okay? I'm gonna give everyone a minute to grab their little object. Okay? This is something that you can hold in your hand and easily pass back and forth. It could even be a little ball. All right. I'm gonna trust everyone, grab something. Okay? Here's what you're going to do. Check in with yourself and notice where in your body you experience that anxiety. Is it here? Is it here? Is it in your gut? Is it in your head? There's no right or wrong answer. I just want you to notice. It's all you're going to do. And now take this object, this small object in your hand, right? What you're going to do is you're going to pass the midline of your body and put it in the other hand. Now you're going to take this and you're also going to pass the midline of your body again, put it in the other hand. What we're doing, and everyone, I trust you're following along. What we're doing right now is called bilateral stimulation. And the reason why anxiety is reduced when we do bilateral stimulation is because anxiety is overactivation of one hemisphere of the brain. We have two hemispheres, the right and left, and one hemisphere is overactivated. And so by continuing to pass this item back and forth, what we're doing is we're stimulating blood flow and impulses to both sides of the brain. Your right brain, your left brain, your right brain, your left brain, your right brain, the left brain, your right brain, the left brain. So now I trust everyone. Mahala, Cassie, Kristine, Gabriella, Hannah has been following along. Now we're just going to take a slight pause and let's check in. May I ask those who gave us numbers, where is that anxiety now? Where would you rate it on a range between 1 to 10? And again, there's no right or wrong answer, but just checking in. A little lower, 7. Kristine, 2. Gabriella, from 5 to 7. Yeah, so let's just notice that. We did that for like about a minute. So let's just take this and maybe we try one more time, right? We're stimulating blood flow and we're doing bilateral stimulation. And yes, you can do this under your screen, right? You can do it. It might look like I'm fidgeting, but you can do it. And people with social anxiety, if they're sitting at a desk, they can do it under their desk, right? But for now, we're just going to bring it up here. I just wanted to give you some examples of when and where you can use this technique. My clients have used it ahead of presentations, ahead of high stakes conversations, right? So again, let's just pause. And once again, we're just going to check in. And maybe you feel a bit of a shift, maybe you don't, but I think it's really powerful to know that just by moving your physiology, you can easily create a shift in how you feel. And some level of activation. I just had a coaching session with a client and we talked about there is a difference between elastic tension and inelastic tension. Elastic tension means that, yeah, there is some activation. Your heart rate is a little, elevated, and you can feel yourself like, right? But sometimes you can still engage in conversations. You can still take courageous action. You can still ask for the raise. You can ask for the promotion without losing your shit, right? But inelastic tension is when you're like catatonic or when you're stuck in the stress cycle loop. My former client, Kristine, is an expert on this. She teaches on closing the stress cycle loop, right? when you feel overactivated and you're either in fight, flight, freeze, or fawn mode, and you're like, or you like fly off the handle and you get just like angry. So what we do know is simply by shifting your physiology, you can shift tension or anxiety from something that's like, oh, I can't move forward in a conscientious way to like, oh, now it's a 2, now it's a 5. I can still make choices. I can still respond. I can still have that level of awareness that says, okay, if I'm way too activated, that, you know, we close out the conversation and we revisit it, you know, at a later time. So I would like to ask you now, when you check in with yourself, right? I'm going to ask a strange question. And the reason why I'm going to ask a strange question is because these neuroplasticity tools are about leveraging the inner logic of the brain. Like our brains, sometimes people like to use the computer analogy. That means the brain has ways of filing information. The brain has ways of organizing information, right? And so we're going to just get curious about how your brain has filed anxiety, right? So for you, when you think about, when you like check in with yourself, what color is anxiety? And I love to see some responses in the chat box. Sometimes my clients tell me it's black. Sometimes they tell me it's red. Sometimes it's a dark blue color, but it can be any color, right? There's no right or wrong answer here. Red, Gabriela says, okay? Anyone else? Anyone else have a different color? A wavy metallic gray. Very good. Thank you. And now, as you, yellow, Kristine says, now we're just going to notice that, right? And now I'm going to ask you, what color is confidence? And it may or may not be a different color. Again, no right or wrong answer. What color is your blue for Gabriella? Interesting. So notice that for Gabriella, red was anxiety and blue is confidence. And for some people, it might be the inverse, right? For Kristine, yellow for anxiety, red for confidence. Confidence is black, Mahala says. Okay, all right, all right. For me, when I think about confidence, for me, it's really interesting because I think yellow, right? Everyone is different, no right or wrong answer. So, of those of you who shared your responses, thank you. Can I get a volunteer from people who have typed into the chat box who would like to turn down the dial on their anxiety and turn up the dial on confidence? May I have a volunteer from one of you, please? And you could hit that button. Just raise hand. All right, Kristine. I'm going to promote you to panelist.
Okay, I muted myself.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay, so great to see you again. Full disclosure,
Likewise.
Kristine is a former client who's amazing, who's also a coach, and you should tell everyone about your event coming up before you leave. But for now, what's something you want to change?
It actually is about the event. I'm very excited about it, but even I'm doing like it's a 30-minute event, so it's shorter than a lot of events I do. So I'm trying to shove a lot in that period of time. And I think I'm a little anxious about leaving things out that are really important or having it be digestible. So just kind of in that planning phase of it, and I'm working with someone else on it, so we're working a little bit together. just trying to like maybe decrease my anxiety about the planning a little bit so that I can sort out my thoughts in a more calm way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like some aspect of that is, anxiety is productive often. It's like, oh yeah, we should think this through. Like, let me write that down, right? And
Mhm.
right now, how do you know that you have anxiety about it? Like in your body, how do you know?
Yeah, for me, it's like a little bit of tightness in my chest and just like a little bit of a pit in my stomach. It's not high grade anxiety by any means, but it's very much just like I can tell that my body is a little bit more jittery and
Mm.
even I feel a little bit warm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm gonna invite you to check in and just notice that jittery feeling from the pit of your stomach and you set up to here to the throat. Did I hear that correctly? Yeah.
Mhm.
And if you just check in, does that seem to have movement?
Yeah, definitely.
How does it seem to move?
It's kind of like a up and down, like almost
Uh-huh.
like an electrical impulse.
And does that electrical impulse seem to have a spin?
Yeah, I would say so. Kind of like a spin like this.
Yeah. Okay. So now I'm gonna invite you to just drop inward for a moment and notice that movement, notice that spin. And as you do, see if you can reverse the direction of the spin. Just imagine that spin going in the opposite direction within your body.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What do you notice? What's that like?
I had like a physical like feeling as soon as I reversed it, almost like when you stop a bike or if
Mm.
you were to try to just like roll a bike backwards, like you're gonna like it might be going really fast and that's like whoop, and then it has to kind of like slowly pick back up. Like it slows it down a lot.
And as it slows down, right? Um, how does that feel?
Spacious. Like it was like my breath got deeper like
Yeah,
immediately.
yeah. And as you feel that sense of spaciousness, right? How do you want to feel about this event?
Confident, definitely.
Okay. Yeah.
Excited.
Yeah.
Um, like I want to feel like I have the space to connect with everyone there
Mm-hmm.
so that like the nerves don't overtake that feeling of connection that I'm garnering there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's just check in into the body where you had been feeling some of that, that sensation. And now when you check in, right, the space between your throat and the pit of your stomach, what's there now?
Hmm. It's a lot more calm.
Okay.
Like, yeah, it's a lot more calm. It's very peaceful.
Yeah.
Like I can still feel a little bit of tightness, but it is not so rigid. I think like it's a softer.
Yeah. So as you feel the softening of that, I invite you to, let's just take a couple of deep breaths. Yeah. But this time, as you breathe in, you said that red is your color for confidence, right? So as you breathe in, just imagine that more red comes in and fills that space within as yellow leaves with every exhale. Yeah, that's right. More red coming in, and with long exhale, more yellow leaving the space. What's that like? What do you notice?
It's nice. It's kind of like a meditative
Mm-hmm.
to be able to visualize like anxiety as an actual color or a thing and being able to pull it out gives it like a shape where usually it's this shapeless thing that you can't quite get a grasp on.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. And I'm reminded, you want to feel confident. You want to feel more confident about this event, right? It's a 30-minute event coming up next week. I saw it on your Instagram. And and now when you think about, when you just imagine, right, with this calmness, seeing yourself going through the things you want to check or, get done ahead of it, and then maybe you check in with your partner, and then when you see yourself showing up to the event, connecting with people, and now the event is over, right? What's that like?
It's like a confidence booster for sure.
Okay.
And like that feeling of being in community with people that are all trying to take care of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Again, mostly women as well. Like we tend to struggle with burnout more than anyone else. And just knowing that if even one person leaves that event feeling like they have tools, like I did my job and I can feel really positive about that. And then I don't know, just proud of myself
Yeah,
for doing the thing.
yeah. So feel what it's like to feel proud of yourself for doing the thing, right? And as you feel what it's like to be proud of yourself, what's the first smallest step that you take, like today, with this event?
To be proud of myself,
No, no,
like
no,
by
no, no.
that.
We talked about how like you feel like there are things that you want to,
Yes, got it, got
yes,
it.
you want to get done or double check, I think you said, right? So
Mhm.
what's the
Narrow
first,
down.
yes, narrow down. Like what's the first thing that you do to narrow it down?
I think for me, it's one reminding myself that I have so much information because it excites me. Like I literally have like a stack of books next to me that I have like underlines and things that I want to include in. And so it's coming from a place of excitement and also just like maybe putting on like a favorite album and
Okay,
opening up my Google Doc
yeah,
and starting to like put things in an order
yeah,
in a way that is enjoyable and not stress inducing.
yeah,
Like making it like a pleasurable experience instead of like a um oh, I have to remove all this stuff. And it's like, no, I get to make this 30-minute
yeah,
workshop. Great. And all that other information is just information I have now for myself and anything in the future or my coaching clients,
yes,
it's all good stuff.
yes. So see yourself and hear the music that you want to play. As you hear that music, see yourself at the keyboard and there's Google Doc in front of you. Okay, what's that like?
It's just fine. Like it's like calm. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like I'm not
Yeah,
like, oh, I have to get started on this. It's like, okay, yeah, this is just one task.
yeah, yeah. Okay. All right. How do you feel about this event now?
I feel good about it. Yeah. I
Yeah.
feel excited and just like I can keep adding information and then not putting it in the workshop too. It's just like it's fun for me to learn and that's part of the process.
That's right. That's right. Okay. I think you totally got this.
Thank you.
Yeah. Kristine, where can people go to find you on Instagram?
I will put my link in the chat for
Yes.
ease. Yeah.
Do that. All right. Okay.
Awesome.
Do you feel complete?
I feel complete. Thank you.
Excellent. So Gabriella, it does not have to be just anxiety. If you would like, um, if you like to volunteer, no, you don't have to be anxious right now. You could have a different emotion instead of anxiety. But I ask that, you think of something that you like to be like 10% more confident for, like something specific. Do we have another volunteer before we wrap up? All right, Gabriella, let's do it. And I'm going to promote you to a panelist.
Hello.
Hello.
Start video, sorry. Oh, ignore my messy office.
What's up? What would you like to feel more confident about?
Just speaking up when somebody is doing something. Well, I guess specifically like in court, if I have an objection, I second guess myself and I was like, is that really an objection? Or should I say something? Or maybe I should just be quiet and sit down.
Quick question. Are you a lawyer?
Yes.
And so that you're in court and it's in the middle of a trial.
Yeah, or a hearing, yeah.
Or a hearing. Okay. So rewind the tape for me a little bit and take me to the moment before you hear your inner voice second guessing you. Like, what are you seeing? Where are you? What's happening the moment before you start to second guess yourself?
So I'm thinking like, okay, that is totally wrong, and
Got it. So I'm gonna pause you here because that means that's good information because what's happening is you're hearing or seeing something, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So take me to the very last time you heard or said something about which you were like, that's totally wrong. And you don't have to go into too much detail. Just let me know, like in general, what are you hearing and saying? Or what are you seeing or hearing?
Just like opposing counsel saying something that's contradictory, or yeah.
Got it.
Like something that can be disproven easily and already has been, but they're still doubling down.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So now I'm gonna invite you to sit up. You have a lovely home office, by the way. And okay. If you feel comfortable, would you be open to standing up for a moment with me?
Sure.
Awesome. Okay, everyone else, you can follow along, okay? Now, here's what we're going to do. I'm gonna invite you to, I can't see your face, but excellent. All right. Okay, excellent. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna ask you to shake this off, quite literally, okay? So
Okay.
you're just going to, here, watch me. You're going to shake this off right here. Yeah. And then you're going to shake it off. Yes. And then raise the arm and shake that off even more. Right? And now we sigh it out loud. Okay. Remind me how you want to feel when you know something is wrong.
Confident, assertive, calm.
Yes. Okay. So, okay. Let me show you one more thing just for the sake of showing it to everyone else too. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stand with my feet like hips distance wide. So it's a little bit like a yoga stand. Yeah, because when I do that, when I stand hips width wide, my core engages almost immediately, right? And you're going to put your hands over your hips like a Wonder Woman pose. And I'm going to trust everyone who's here is doing this with me live or via the recording. And now what you're going to do is you're going to pick a spot in your home office that's pleasant to look at. Okay. And just fix your gaze on that spot. Okay. And we're just going to take a couple of deep breaths. Exhaling twice as long. That's right. And now as you continue to breathe at a pace that feels good for you, just soften or diffuse your focus. That's right, without moving your eyes. And now, without moving your eyes, simply shift your awareness to the periphery of your vision. And when I do this with my clients, they tell me they start to notice the ambient noise in the room, the AC is running. They start to notice the temperature of the room. They start to notice the feel of fabric on their skin. So what are you noticing, Gabriella? What are you noticing now for you?
That's the embarrassing phone that just went off.
No one noticed that, don't worry.
Just more solid. Like
Yeah,
texture.
exactly. More solid, yes. And so as you feel what it's like to feel solid, continue to just extend the awareness. Just imagine that you could extend that awareness beyond the walls of your room, maybe even beyond the building you're in, maybe beyond the street. So what we're doing is we're tapping into expanded awareness. Okay. Excellent. So you could put your arms down if you'd like. What we just did is my combination of peripheral vision combined with a power pose. Power pose is something that Dr. Amy Cuddy at Harvard University taught about. And what it does is she observed that every single mammal, human, whoever is in in a state of victory, they take up more space. They create more space between their legs and their arms. They're going like this, they're going like this, right? And when we do this intentionally, it has the impact of lowering your cortisol, the stress hormone, and increasing testosterone, which is a human hormone. And that testosterone is associated with more assertiveness, more confidence. And the peripheral vision, what you just did, which you did really well, what happens? It switches your nervous system from being in sympathetic, which is like fight, flight, freeze mode, to parasympathetic, which is rest and digest. Okay, excellent. So I trust everyone did this who can. You can sit back down, Gabriella. All right, Gabriella. So remind me, you want to feel confident and talk to me. Tell me, when was the last time you felt the way you want to feel so that you know how that's like?
The last time, oh gosh. Probably, I don't know. Like specifically, or
It could be in general.
I think when I know I'm right, and gosh, it sounds like I just argue to prove that I'm right. No, it's just
No, but I hear you when you know that you're right about a fact, or you're right about your values, you're right about your decisions, what's right for you. I get that. That's like,
right.
To me, that sounds like conviction.
Right. And I just am trying to convey that to someone else.
Okay, so take me back to your own conviction and tell me how you know you have a conviction.
But I feel it.
Yeah, where do you feel it?
Probably like my upper body.
Yeah. So
yeah.
as you feel that sense of being convicted, right? Now I want you to see that opposing counsel one more time in your mind's eye. What's coming up?
My power stance.
Yeah.
Being calm but firm.
Yes. And what's that like for you? You know, when you see yourself being confident, firm in your power stance, right? When you can imagine yourself doing that, what does that do for you?
It reassures me.
Yeah. So feel what it's like to be reassured. And again, let's just think about the next time an opposing counsel says something that's factually untrue. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, when you imagine that, what comes up?
But it depends. If I can object, I immediately object
Yeah.
and state my reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it's not a place where I can object and I have to address it later, then I make sure I address it
Yes.
pointedly.
Yes. And what's it like to imagine yourself, like maybe, you know, you make a note to yourself, like, okay, I'm going to object. I'm going to speak up about this. Like, what's it like to imagine yourself, right, following through on that?
I don't know. I just think action and then mic drop or something. Yeah.
Mic drop. Well, what's it like to imagine you have followed through? You did, whether you objected on the spot or you submitted a written, you know, documentation. Like, what's it like to be on the other side when you're done?
Victorious.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask you to feel what it's like to feel victorious, and again, see that opposing counsel, the one that you saw previously. And they're saying something, you're hearing something that is not true. Okay.
Right.
What do you notice now?
Like about me or them?
Both.
I feel like I command attention.
Oh, I lost your audio. I lost your audio. I can't hear you. Oh no, I can't hear you. I lost your audio. What happened?
Oh.
Oh, now I hear you. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't know what happened there. Sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now. I didn't hear what you said after you said victorious or yeah.
I kind of just feel like I belong in that space. And I'm like firm and confident, and then hopefully the realization in opposing counsel's face that, like, I don't know, kind of like, oh, I'm not gonna mess with her and pull this kind of stuff anymore.
How do we know? Give me 3 reasons why you do belong in that space.
Because I went to law school.
Yes, you have the law degree.
Big
You
one.
passed the bar.
Yes. My client has rights that
Yes.
asserted and respected. And I believe that the work we do is good.
Excellent. I hear you do belong there. Excellent. Gabriella, thank you so much for volunteering. Do you feel complete?
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, I wish you all the best. I'm going to put you back to attendee. All right. Well, thank you everyone for coming to Confidence Lab. Here is where you can learn more about, here's where you can learn more about my coaching services. For the people who are still here, I'd love to know what's one thing you're taking away. What's one thing you want to keep remembering? Whether, you know, about confidence, about yourself, or any of the techniques that I demonstrated today, what's one thing? Please share in the chat. Bilateral exercise. Yes, Gabriella says I can do this. Of course you can. The peripheral vision was powerful for me. I will use that. Yes, it's so easy. I do it all the time. I do it like pretty much every time I go out on a walk. Yes, bilateral stimulation and peripheral vision work. Yes. Excellent. Well, not to conflate competence with confidence. Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, it's okay if there's an overlap. I think it can be like a overlapping Venn diagram, but we just don't want to make the mistake of like, well, I can't be confident because I've never done it. But you can be confident if you're willing to take action. You can be confident if you're willing to, allow the emotions. You're willing to, yeah, trust yourself to do new things. All right. It's been my pleasure. Thank you, everyone. And I will send the replay in case you had to leave early or, oh, Tamra, thank you. Awesome and excellent. What you do above all, you are passionate for what you're doing. Absolutely. I am absolutely passionate. Elizabeth says, thank you so much. I learned a lot. Excellent. You're welcome, Gabriella. And again, if you want to learn more, feel free to email me or check out my website. And I will see y'all soon. All right, thank you so much. Hannah says this was fantastic. I learned a lot. I'm so glad to hear that. All right. Bye, everyone.